Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to ShootOut. We have got some, well, it's actually horrifying, to be quite honest. To be fair to you, there is not one thing that I want to do right now other than just go and crawl into my bed and sleep for, well, not too long because we've got more ShootOut videos to make, all right? But Chelsea have just ruined my weekend, potentially even ruined my whole of my next week. Eunice, tell me that there is like some positivity that we can take here from what we have just witnessed from Chelsea getting battered at West Ham again. Tell me.
Bro, what you said was spot on, and what hurts more is when you don't expect it. Like last season, we were in the trenches and we were going through hell, and we just knew that every week was a loss. It was fine. Towards the end, you get used to it. You grow thick skin. We've lost that thick skin, right? It's all shed off because we were thinking that it's all going to be, lovely and rosy from now on. And then you see a performance like that, which is inexcusable. It's inexcusable as far as I'm concerned in terms of where we should be and how we should be playing against a 10-man West Ham who still managed to get a third goal despite being down to 10. Everything was wrong today, mate. Everything was wrong. And yeah, it stung. This one stung, I'm not going to lie. It actually stung. And I'm still in pain.
Yeah. I think it was like the pressure moments of a football match that Chelsea seemed to have under control. We equalised, started playing really good football again. It was like a carbon copy of Liverpool. We started badly, conceded a goal, reacted. It's like, okay, well, we're not going to be last season's Chelsea anymore because we actually look good when we concede now and we actually control games. You get yourself a penalty.
Yep.
Did Enzo take it off of Jackson or not?
No, I think, I know Enzo walked up to the spot with the ball, but it was him and Jackson at one point. I'd like to think that's not the case. I hope it's not the case because I was screaming for Jackson to take it.
Me too. Striker's got to take pens, right? If
That's
you've not scored
it.
a goal yet, give the flipping striker it.
That is it. Because one goal changes that whole confidence. He gets himself on a run, boom, he's on form. With Enzo, I don't know if he's been nominated the actual penalty taker. Like we had Jorginho before, we've had Lampard in the past where midfielders can take it, but I'm not quite sure this is the same situation. I just think Enzo took it. and I agree, Jackson should be taking that just to get him off the mark. Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, I think we've also got to touch upon Caicedo, who as much as we've been hyping him all week, there's not really any debut I think you can make, especially in the context of things, right? Like, bringing it back to what I was saying about the pressure points. West Ham, when Chelsea missed that penalty, the stadium's buoyed, the stadium's buzzing again.
Yep.
And they start that second half the same way they did the first. They're coming at us, they're running at us, and somehow Levi Colwill, Thiago Silva and Axel Disasi, who between them, I'm thinking we've got 3 top-class centre-backs here.
Yep.
They have literally all just gone and played for flipping Woking, and they just decided they don't know what to defend anymore.
Exactly.
And then Mikel Antonio, who once again, who the bloody hell is he? Like this guy, he don't turn up for half the season, but then he comes up against Chelsea again, and blimey O'Reilly, does he look like a flipping bison running through the rest of our team. We got destroyed by Antonio. Caicedo comes in, and I think by that point, I started seeing last season's Chelsea again.
Yeah.
And it was set up perfectly for the script writers of everybody who thinks that you and I have been a bit too arrogant, you and I have been a bit too happy. Well, what have you gone and spent 115 million on? I don't think it's that deep, but I mean, we're the laughing stock right now, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. And we're going to have to take it on the chin for the next 24, 48 hours. And rightfully so. Look, you come with confidence and you come with, that feeling of, no, we're going to smash it. And you publicise that. When it doesn't go your way, you take the hits. Not a problem. I'm ready for that. But what hurts isn't the case of that. Because that's not the point. The point is, what we saw from Chelsea today shouldn't be how Chelsea are playing. Like, this isn't last season. This isn't the team and the setup that we had last season with the excuses that we had last season. That's not the case. We're not meant to be in the trenches right now. After that second half against Liverpool and what we saw in terms of how we can move forward, there's no excuse for the way that Chelsea played today. None. So none of us were expecting that. Like, from a realistic, opinion, that shouldn't have happened today. But it did. And you have to ask why. Because I think every single aspect of Chelsea today was completely wrong. Whether you look at the players individually, or you look at them collectively, or you try to talk in terms of chemistry, or you try to talk in terms of mentality, you try to talk even in terms of Poch, the setup, everything as far as I'm concerned was just wrong. So this is where we look at and go, was it it wasn't expected. Caicedo coming on and putting in the clanger that he did, that's not expected. Like, that's just not expected. Mudryk coming on and taking a shot that goes back for a throw. Mate, it doesn't, it's exactly, this is the thing. It's when it's not expected, you're in shock. And when you're in shock, you're like, how has this happened? So we're still trying to compute it. You're getting a live reaction here of us trying to compute this insanity that took place tonight. I don't think we will.
Do you know what else do you know what gets to me as well? Kane Chukwuemeka is playing the best half of football he's played in a Chelsea shirt, scores a wonderful goal, and it's like, ACL, here's the flipping, the ghoul hanging over Chelsea Football Club, where it's like, oh, you're having a good time up there, are you?
Yep.
Are you scoring goals for Chelsea? No, you're not allowed that. You're not allowed attackers that are fit and healthy and scoring goals. Is an injury for you. I hope it isn't an ACL, but to me,
it looks like one.
Looked awful.
Yeah.
He couldn't even put weight on it to walk off the field. This is why it's good that we're doing this video live. I'm knackered. I don't really want to be doing this, but we are, and we're here. And at this point in time, like, I don't want to overreact and say our season's finished.
No,
we're going to be just as bad as we were last year, because that, I think, would be a foolish thing to believe.
Yeah.
That we're still under a new manager with a lot of new players again. Like you say, chemistry is massive. Caicedo just didn't look ready for this today. I think the weight of the move and the saga potentially has got to him a little bit from this. And I think that's why he didn't start. And I probably think when you look at the game, Poch was probably hoping that he didn't need to bring him on for his debut today and just stick him up against flipping Luton next week at home. Because that's a nice one, technically. We think. We think. But I think, I can't even. If you're not subscribed to ShootOut yet, you'll be getting the predictions for next week's games first, right here on this channel, so make sure you're in there for it. But yeah, I think we've both gone over Chelsea a lot on our channels.
Yep.
Should we move on to something that is, well, it's still not good, because we're now 5 points away from Man City now. They beat Newcastle 1-0 yesterday. Did you watch the game?
I did. And it was close in terms of what we were expecting, but Newcastle just going forward were all over the place. Defensively, they were actually decent. And Man City took that one occasion that came to them. They had quite a few that Haaland didn't put away, but defensively, Newcastle looked really, really well set up. But going forward, they looked a shambles. They looked scared. I said this in my review for the Chelsea game today about how some Chelsea players look frightened. Newcastle looked frightened yesterday against City going forward. They just looked like the final pass, the final cross, the final shot. Everything was just pure hesitancy, and they couldn't execute. They just couldn't execute. So 1-0 is an understandable and fair result at the end of the night, I reckon.
No, I think that Newcastle, this was a chance for them. I think if you look at the fact that City played on that Wednesday against Sevilla, and then their squad isn't as deep this season as it was. So I think if I was Newcastle, I would have been looking to go there and make a statement. Actually go there without fear. You know, you're going to Man City, which is probably, in world football right now, the most difficult fixture that you can possibly have.
100.
Go into the Etihad, a team that have just won the treble. I don't remember the last time they lost there, but it's probably been a fair while. If you're Newcastle, you're in the top 4 now. Yeah, maybe you've not signed enough players this summer. Maybe there isn't actually the belief there that we can go one better this year and maybe even challenge Man City for the league. But I think regardless of whether you believe that or not, in the second week of the season, it's your first away game. I think you go there and I think you give it a bit more. I think Newcastle looked toothless yesterday, which I'm surprised about, because the week before it was the polar opposite. They couldn't stop scoring. They were on fire. And I think Newcastle, a big problem they might have is when they're at home, I think, it's almost like the crowd are trying to score for them. And I think they absolutely thrive in that atmosphere.
They do.
But still, yesterday they just looked as though they were far too respectful to Man City. And if Haaland has an off day, doesn't matter, mate, because Alvarez is going to bury one for you. And that is what a clinical team does. And I think City proved in that game yesterday why they're probably going to go and win it again.
Well, you mentioned that Alvarez goal, and that was a phenomenal goal. Beautifully placed, but had a lot of space and time. The one lapse of concentration and you can get punished against Man City, no matter who it is. But this is the thing with Newcastle. And I agree with the fact that they were completely toothless. I think it was more of a mental problem than it was actually in terms of how they can actually play and how they can execute. I think it was a case of them up front getting a bit too excited, not concentrating enough, having a bit too much respect, and those things can make or break you sometimes. When you come across a top team like City, who have everything at their disposal, you need to get those things right. You don't, you're going to get punished. And I think that's exactly what happened for Newcastle.
Absolutely. Speaking of another Manchester club, Tottenham beat Man United 2-0 in the earlier Saturday evening kickoff. This was a big surprise for me because Spurs were very, very good.
They were.
That's what makes this video even worse.
It does.
We don't want to be talking about this lot, do we? My predictions this week, I know I got rinsed in the comments from a lot of you guys, and I get it. You know, I tried to make it a bit spicy for week number 1. This weekend coming, I'm being boring, all right? I am going for the win. I've had enough now because Tottenham Hotspur did not expect that from them. But I think as good as Tottenham were, Man United are not very good right now.
No.
And I know it's very base level analysis, but like, if I was a United fan, I'd be a bit worried.
Well, I think after today, you're going to get a lot of United fans going, if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be worried. But you know what?
Oh, don't worry. I'm worried, okay? I'm petrified. Don't put me through this again. No.
If anything, United will bring you into the trenches. We've had a year of it. Don't worry. We'll bring you in. You're new to it. I genuinely think yesterday's performance with Tottenham and United wasn't, and credit to Tottenham. Absolutely, I'm not going to take any credit away from Tottenham, but I think it was more to do with how bad United were than how good Tottenham were. I think Tottenham took advantage of a very lacklustre, poor United team. And they done the basics correct, and they went and they executed themselves. They played, I would think Tottenham played how they would normally play this season, I reckon, in terms of what we're going to see. They weren't incredible, but they were effective, and they exploited every time United made a mistake and every time United had a clanger. And I think Man United look all over the place. Tactically, I think their setup was completely wrong. I mean, we can talk about one thing because we know about this player, but seeing Mount play basically in a double pivot with Casemiro at times, it is like, we know he can't do that. He can't do that. But it wasn't just him. That entire midfield was ineffective. Rashford was up there by himself. You can see the frustration in him that he wants to shift over to the left. He wants to run at defenders. He's not been able to do that. But he's the only outlet they have. Everywhere else on the pitch, they just look void. They look like they go down the safe route. They take their time. They misplace passes. They lose possession. Everyone looks lost. And Ten Hag hasn't really got a hold on it right now. So it's not looking good for Man United.
I think the big difference which is why it's perfect that Spurs are playing United yesterday and it's not later in the season, is because I think when you look at both of those teams, Tottenham have obviously just got a massive hole put in their side by Harry Kane going to Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Man United yesterday looked as though they were so desperate to have a striker there. Like you said, Rashford was looking to get into that left position. Yeah, he says he wants to be scoring more goals, playing up front, but at least Man United have Rasmus Højlund coming into this team when he's fit and when he's ready. Whereas with Spurs, they probably got this Man United team at the perfect time. They're still trying to figure out what to do with Mount. I think he made 11 passes of the ball yesterday, which is mad. And then he wakes up today, looks at Chelsea fans at West Ham, and he's got a song now, but it's not a good Chelsea song. If you're Mount, you've arguably had a worse weekend than Chelsea have. And I'm just literally clutching at straws here, mate, to try and get myself out of the rut of Chelsea. But I think United will be better. I think that will be later on this season. I think they'll beat Spurs second time round. But for Tottenham, it's 2 not bad results. Brentford, first game of the season, is not an easy place to go. They managed to get a draw out of that, and I think maybe we thought they were a bit lucky. But overall, 4 points from Brentford and Man United for Postecoglou's first 2 games. He's got to be happy with that.
No, completely. And you can see what they're trying to do. That's the one thing about Tottenham. You can see this identity that Postecoglou's come with. It's not different from what he's done at previous clubs. You go in and see how his Celtic team played and how his old teams in Australia and Japan have played. It's all very similar. But the Celtic team is a good comparable one. The style of football is very positive. You can see the Tottenham players enjoy it. You can see the fans enjoy it. It created the atmosphere in the stadium yesterday, so that's definitely a key factor. But so far, so good. I do think that what we saw yesterday is going to be an example of what we'll see throughout the season in terms of level. I don't think we're going to get much more in terms of level at Tottenham. There'll be some teams that I think can exploit that. But overall, I think they will put in good performances this season at least. Maybe the results will come, they might not come. But overall, Tottenham are looking good so far. So fair play to them.
Great. This is just literally the worst day ever. This is actually the worst day ever. So I'm going to cut us off here, mate. I'm going to say, if you're not yet subscribed to ShootOut, please do. Just give us something happy to look at in the morning when we see that there's even more of you on this brand new YouTube channel. Eunice, if there's anything more you want to add, please feel free to do so. But I think I'm footballed out now. This weekend has just killed me. It actually has.
Well, I'm going down with you into the trenches, and with a little bit of energy I have left, I will tell you guys thank you all for watching. Make sure you guys are here. On Tuesday, we'll give a complete rundown of our Premier League predictions, how that went, and each game in its details. So make sure you guys are here for that. There might or might not be an upload tomorrow on the Monday, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Make sure you are subscribed over here. And yeah, let the content flow, and let's forget about today. It didn't exist.
Never happened.